To present this afternoon's keynote address, I call Liz Brown, Assistant Professor of Law, Taxation, and Financial Planning at Bentley University.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Bentley students, families, faculty, and friends. My name is Liz Brown, and what I want to talk to you about today is just this. How do you figure out specifically what to do with the rest of your life? Now that seems like a big question, right? You've been in college for 10 minutes, and here come the big questions. You have barely unpacked, and we're talking about your end game. But this question, if it's not on your mind already, and how can it not be after the remarks from Gloria, will be soon. How do you figure out what it is that you want to spend the rest of your time and energy on after you leave Bentley? I have interviewed hundreds of people about their career satisfaction, and I can tell you that most people go about this the wrong way. Most people use the wrong criteria, not only to choose their first job, but to choose their entire careers. And I can tell you from personal experience, as someone who has changed jobs from being a partner in a law firm to being the manager of an angel investor network to finally and happily being a business law professor here at Bentley, that there is a simple solution to choosing work that you are going to love for the rest of your career. But it requires knowing something about yourself that most people don't know. Most college students don't know it, but you can know it. I'm going to tell you what it is. It is this. What do you enjoy being good at? What are you naturally good at that you like doing? Now, knowing what you're good at could be different from knowing what you like being good at. People have probably told you all your life what you're good at, or what your natural skills are. Maybe you're a good listener. Maybe you're a good team player. Maybe you're a good writer. Maybe you're a great friend. That could be different from what you like being good at. And it's what you like being good at that you should base your career upon. Now, I myself was trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life about 7 years ago. I was a partner in an international law firm. I had a big title, I had a big salary, I had a big office. I felt pretty posh and fabulous. I was doing what I had trained to do for 15 years, and I felt like I was at the top of my game. I really couldn't have expected more from my career. I'd made partner, so I was doing fine from an outside perspective. But I was miserable. I hated coming to work every day. I hated it. And that is no way to live. So I went out and I started talking to people who had left the law to do different things, to do interesting things. And I found former lawyers who were management consultants and editors and rabbis and psychotherapists and acupuncturists and research directors, and I talked to every single one of them. And I asked them to tell me their stories of changing careers. And as I listened, I realized they all had one thing in common, and it was this. In their current careers, the ones they liked, they were using the same skills, the same talents that they had used in the law, but they had found a better and more fulfilling way to use those talents. What they were naturally good at had never changed, but they had found a better way to put those talents to use, and as a result, they were much, much happier. Talking to them fundamentally changed the way I thought about happiness and work and careers. Because honestly, I never really thought much about happiness growing up. I wasn't something I associated with work. It was something that I thought had to be separate from work, something that you would do after work, be happy if you have time. But talking to all those people who became happy after they switched careers made me realize that you can realistically love your work, but you have to know what you like being good at in order to do so. Now let me tell you why this is more important than it's ever been before. 91% of millennials expect to spend 3 years or less in each job they have. Now, over the course of their career, that's 15 to 20 jobs. That's a lot of job hopping. And that might not be so bad the first few times. But over time, what does that say to hiring managers, to recruiters who look at your resume and see a bunch of different jobs where you only spent a year or 2 years? What it says to them is that they probably shouldn't invest in you, since you're likely to leave before the employer has recouped its investment in you. And also, you probably didn't learn that much in any of your previous jobs because you just didn't stay there long enough. It's not a great way to build a career. Now, why are people changing jobs so often? It's because they're chasing happiness. It's because they're looking for personal fulfillment, which in itself is great. I'm all for happiness, and so are you guys. In fact, millennials value happiness at work more than any other generation since 1950, according to a recent Forbes study, and that's fantastic. But I think most millennials are going about looking for happiness at work the wrong way. I think too many people choose jobs based on who's coming to campus to recruit, or where they can make the most money out of the gate, or what most people in their majors do, or who they know, or what corporate cultures sound really sexy. And you know, those are all important, those are all relevant. And they should affect your decision in some way, but as Noah said, you should stay in the driver's seat. You have to. And what should guide your choice is where you can spend the most time doing what you love being good at. It is absolutely realistic to love your work if you go about choosing it that way. The most important thing I have to say to you is this: career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. I'm gonna say that again. Career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. I made the mistake of choosing a career for the wrong reasons. I went into law because I'm really good at arguing. I am. I'm great at arguing. You can ask my husband, or my mother, or anybody else who's known me a long time. I am really good at arguing. And when I was your age, before I decided what I wanted to do after college, a lot of people would say to me, "You should be a lawyer." And those were usually people who were on the losing end of arguments. But, you know, I listened, and over time I started to believe that I should go to law school. And I thought, you know, this isn't so bad, law school. You can make a lot of money. There's a certain amount of prestige attached. And if you come from a low-income family, as I do, that has a lot of pull to it. So I went to law school, and I did all the things you're supposed to do in law school. And I worked for one law firm after another, and I strode around courtrooms making what I thought were powerful arguments. And I built myself up to this partnership level before I realized something horrible, which was that I don't like arguing. I'm good at it, but I hate it. I really hate arguing. It kind of eats me up inside. And I liked it less and less as I got older. And for a trial lawyer, this is a very bad thing. I spent a long time trying desperately not to know this about myself. By the time I was in my 30s, which probably seems impossibly far away to you guys, I just didn't want to go to work anymore. I felt sick when I opened my email. I would get this terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach when I got close to my office, and that is no way to live. There were some things about my job I did like. I did like the part of my job where I had to take this complicated legalese and translate it into English for my clients so that they could use business law to make strategic decisions and run their business as well. I loved that. I loved the process of translating. And I really liked public speaking, which was something I got to do in court. You know, standing up in front of a group of people like I am right now, saying something that I found really important and I thought would be helpful to them. I also liked writing, but I didn't like the kind of writing, the briefs and the long, weird motions that you have to write as a lawyer. It was only after figuring out those things that I liked being good at that I was able to find a career that let me spend more time doing those things in a different context, which is teaching here. It was only then that I knew that I would love work that lets me stand up in front of a group of people and talk about business law in a way that I hope makes sense to them, and that will help those people go on and have a business career. That is incredibly exciting to me. And if you have me as a professor for GB 110, you will see how excited I get before class because I love what I do. And so being a business professor is perfect for me because it lets me do what I like being good at. And that is what I want each one of you to find. The right career for you, uniquely for you. And finding that starts with this very important piece of self-knowledge. What do you like being good at? Do you like analyzing facts? Do you like writing? Do you like helping your friends solve problems? Do you like organizing things? What is it? You will get better at all of these things while you're here at Bentley, but your teachers cannot know whether you like any of these things. Only you can know that. So actually, will you all just take a moment and think about this for me? What do you like being good at? Just take a moment and think about it. What do you like being good at? Is anyone stuck? A few people are feeling stuck. Okay. If you don't immediately know this about yourself, let me suggest 3 ways to make this clearer for yourself, because it's incredibly important. Number 1, think about what you do in your spare time that other people find really valuable. What do you do that you don't have to do, but you really like being good at? I have a classmate from law school named Valerie Beck. She had the dream job after we graduated. She was working for an international law firm in the Paris office. She was making a lot of money, and she was working European hours, which at that time meant she could leave at 5:30 every day. But she really hated her job. And so she found solace, like you would in Paris, by going to pastry shops. She's tiny, too. I can't stand that. She stayed tiny the whole time. So she went to patisseries and got to know the owners, and she went to every chocolate store in Paris, and she learned what made good chocolate. And so when her friends came to visit her, because you know all her friends came to visit her when she was living in Paris, she would take them from pastry shop to chocolate shop, and she would introduce them to the owners, and she loved doing this. In fact, she came to live for that. So we fast forward a few years. Valerie moves to Chicago. She works for a different law firm, hates that one too. So she leaves her job, and she leaves her law firm to become a Mary Kay saleswoman. And that is where she learns how to run a small business. And she learns how to manage a business, and she uses that when she starts and becomes the CEO of Chicago Chocolate Walking Tours, which she then expanded to 3 other cities. Her company takes people on walking tours of chocolate shops in the Chicago area, or in the winter, on hot chocolate walking tours. Apparently, Chicago is a fantastic place. So she loved this company. She loved what she did. She had dozens of employees. She ran her company the way she wanted to. She built her career around what she loved being good at. So looking at your hobbies is one way to figure this out. A second way is to ask your friends and family. Turn to the people who know you best, some of whom brought you here today, and ask them, what am I good at? What do you see me being good at? And then you have to think for yourselves about whether you like doing that thing that they're telling you. Do you enjoy that? I know another woman named Lisa Montanaro, another unhappy lawyer, hated her job. The best part of her day was coming home to her house, her beautifully organized, super clean house. She was really good at organizing stuff. Her friends would ask her to come over and help them organize their closets and garages. When she was stuck in the office on the weekends, which happens to lawyers a lot, she would, for fun, reorganize the firm's files. That was fun for her. So one Sunday night, she's talking to her friend on the phone and talking about how much she is dreading going to work the next day. And her friend says, Lisa, it's a shame you can't get paid for organizing things. And if this were a graphic novel, you would see the light bulb go on over her head. And half an hour later, she and her friend have both done Google searches and found the National Association of Professional Organizers. They have a certificate program. She completes it. She starts a professional organizing business so successful that she writes a book. She's since changed her home organizing business into a life coaching business. So she went from sorting out people's closets to sorting out their lives. She has clients on both coasts. She's happier than she's ever been. And so asking your family and your friends for their perspective can be really, really helpful. A third way is to break it down day by day. At the end of each day, maybe not today, today's an unusual day, but at the end of each day, think, what did I do today that felt easy? What was the easiest part of the day for you? Where did you feel a sense of timelessness, of flow, of sort of time stopping? Another person I met while doing my research was Will Meyerhofer, and he used this method to find a career that he loved. Will, when he was in college, was the kind of guy that everybody turned to when they had a problem. You know somebody like that? Somebody that you knew like that in high school? He was the guy in college who was the go-to guy when you had a tough situation to deal with. Will is an excellent listener. He's really good at solving people's problems. I don't know what to do. You should go talk to my friend Will. He's really good at this stuff. So Will went to law school. Are you getting by now that maybe law school is not the right decision for everybody? I mean, clearly it was for you, Gloria, but not for everybody. Okay, so he goes to law school. He's miserable because he was a mergers and acquisitions lawyer, which meant that he was spending most of his days in a windowless room full of paper, which was torture for him because he's an extrovert. So he thought, I'll leave and I'll go do something I love. Okay, he loves books, so he goes to work for Barnes & Noble. That makes sense, right? He's this good, except that what he's doing for Barnes & Noble is sales, and he hates sales. He loves books, but he hates sales. So that wasn't sustainable either. So he finally left and got another graduate degree, which itself was a difficult decision, in psychotherapy. He started a psychotherapy practice in Brooklyn, where his client list is full, and he now has a substantial wait list. He started a blog called The People's Therapist. He has complete control over when and where he works. He works when he wants, he travels when he wants. He makes more money as a therapist than he ever did as a lawyer, and he's happier than he's ever been. That is doing your career the right way, eventually. But Will's story highlights a really important point, which is that some people think about finding a career based on what they like or what they're interested in. I don't recommend that. I think your skills should trump your interests. So think about this. Let's say you like sports. Anybody here like sports? I'm looking at the football players in the front row. You like sports? Great. Okay, I don't, but okay. So if you like sports, maybe you want to work for ESPN. Now you're going to have to convince ESPN that you would be a good employee as opposed to a good viewer. So how are you going to do that? You're going to have to show ESPN that you have some skill they need, that they value, and that had better be a skill you like using every day. Otherwise, you're going to be as unhappy at work as Will Meyerhofer was at Barnes & Noble. So what do you do well that ESPN would value? Do you like analyzing team statistics? Are you good at producing news stories? What is it you love being good at? If you know that, you will find it very easy to sell that information, to sell those skills to ESPN or anybody else. So this knowledge of what you like being good at is incredibly important. If it's so important, why don't more people know it about themselves? I put the blame on us, your teachers and your parents. We don't spend enough time encouraging you to think about what you love being good at. Why don't we do that? Here I am just going to blame the baby boomers. We have inherited from the baby boomers this idea that money equals power equals success, that greed is good, and the more money you make, and the better title you have, and the bigger your house is, the better your life is. Fortunately, you guys don't buy that, and I support your skepticism 100%. As they say, millennials value happiness at work more than any preceding generation since at least the 1950s. That's fantastic. So you have a unique opportunity to create more happiness for yourselves, more sustainable happiness. And the way you do that is to know what you like being good at. Once you know that, you will be amazed at how successful you are in job interviews because you will have tapped into a genuine passion. And there is nothing like showing a genuine passion for what the job requires to persuade someone to hire you. It is very powerful, and there's no substitute for it. And there shouldn't be in the long term. Because do you want to fake it at work every day? No, of course not. You don't have to, you shouldn't. With any luck, you're going to learn a lot here over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. 4 years. We on the faculty have a lot to teach you. But perhaps the most important thing I hope you will learn won't be on any of your exams, and you will not write a paper on it, but you will live with it every day of your life. I urge you to spend time while you're here at Bentley learning what it is that you like being good at, because that is the key to a sustainably joyful career, which is what we all want for you. It's the kind of self-knowledge that we really should all spend more time generating. Thank you all, and welcome to Bentley.